so sorry. I was on the wrong Wi-Fi network, and that one died, and I didn't even know. So totally, partially my fault. But hopefully, this will start up again soon. And again, sorry about that. But again, this is office hours. Ask me anything. So please do ask me anything. This is part two. I already started before, but my Wi-Fi connection died, so I am back, and we are answering questions related to a lot about NDAs and portfolios today. I've had a lot of questions about that. Part two of office hours. Ask me anything. So let's get that cooking. Thanks again for people having some patience. Sorry, my connection died there, but I'm back to answer questions, and I want to talk a little bit more since we don't have another question just yet. But again, it is office hours. Ask me anything. You can ask live in LinkedIn or in YouTube, or you can send a question anonymously through this link, deltacx.link/AMA, and I will take care of you. So let me know what's cooking for you, and I will do the best that I can to answer your questions. And so we were talking about portfolios, and someone says, "Is anyone here?" I'm here. But I'm so hello, Randall. I am here. Hopefully, you can hear me. Sorry, my connection died before. So, welcome to part two of Office Hours Ask Me Anything, where I am accepting any questions. And we're talking about, like, for example, does it matter if someone has gone to any particular trade school or training in the eyes of a hiring manager? So, again, I would love to hear from more hiring managers, but I can tell you that my experience is that I do not care what school people went to. Those of you who are receiving free portfolio reviews from me, I'll put up that sign, free portfolio reviews from me. I've got a few open slots. You know that the first thing I'm doing is looking at your portfolio. In many cases, I am not looking ever at your LinkedIn, at your resume, at your history. So I am totally, hey, Wixel, great to see you. Hope you've been well and enjoying the Amazon world. Um, so I'm not even looking at where did you go to school or did you go to school. I'm just looking at the portfolio and I'm seeing, what is this person showing me? What can they do? What story does the portfolio tell me about their strengths or weaknesses, their approaches, their processes, how thorough they are, how deep their process is, or how flawed, sloppy, messy this is. What about their attention to detail? So I've got to admit that when somebody sends me their link, I am only looking at the portfolio. Now, of course, if the portfolio has a message, like I said in part one, about, hey, I can't really put much or anything here. My stuff is all confidential. It's under non-disclosure agreements or it's secret. I can't really show a lot of stuff here. Well, I'll take that seriously and I'll take a little closer look at that person's resume, and I'll see if some of their experience or the way they describe themselves might match what I'm looking for. And then I'll see if I can bring them in for an interview or ask them if they can show me some stuff in an interview, or if it's really so locked down I can't even see it in an interview. Leon posted to the LinkedIn chat, I don't care about your school. The majority of resumes are extremely hyped. Yeah, and sometimes you do have to do a little bit of hype if your portfolio is unfortunately. Leon says, I'm looking at their work, reviews and personal energy and our chemistry. Sure. So the portfolio is important, but we understand people who don't have much of one, either because everything is heavily under confidentiality or because of being new to the industry. Now, Wixel says that you should be able to put some work behind a password, and that's what he does. I would have to say it depends on the level of confidentiality. There are things in my portfolio that I would say that still wouldn't have been good enough. So I've got something in my portfolio, for example, that is a banking project. And I was explaining this in part one, but I'll explain it again here since we have some different people here. And it was a banking project, and it was something new the bank was thinking about launching to the public, but it never happened. However, it was a pretty straightforward, pretty typical banking website. It was just kind of a fresh brand they were thinking about, and that's what made it different. So what I did was I removed from my work their logo, name, email, web address, phone number, slogan, stock photos, anything that would make you look at it and go, oh, I think I know who that is. So I scrubbed it, as we say. And that way, whether or not it's behind a password, if someone looks at it, they go, it just looks like a bank website. That could be anybody. I don't know who that is. And that's really the point. The point is my work and not necessarily which bank this was. So there are times where putting something behind a password can work. And there are times where you really need to scrub it so that it's not clear who this client is. Now, of course, if something is very top secret, if it was really innovative, then you really just can't put it out there at all. Leon is continuing with his commentary. Thank you, Leon. He's saying, can I work with you or not? If not, I don't have a problem taking second best and educating them on being number one. Common sensibility to think on your own. Damage control is what most companies want to hire. We'll train you the rest of the way. Now, what I've seen is that many companies do not want to train people. So it really varies. You can go work for Leon, and Leon's company is going to train you in whatever you don't know. But I would say most juniors and those looking for their first jobs are coming to me saying, I can't find a company willing to mentor me. I can't find a company willing to train me. So I guess that means everyone has to go work for Leon. So the reality is that whether or not you're working for someone like Leon, who is open to getting someone who is still learning and is willing to give them some training and mentoring or maybe apprenticeship, or you're working at a company that or trying to work at a company that isn't offering that, we still have to make sure that our portfolios are telling some sort of story about us and what we can do. And I would say for a couple of years, my portfolio was mostly a giant message that said, I can't put anything here. I can't put anything here. Please look at my resume. Please look at my background. Please look at the references I have on LinkedIn from people who've said nice things about working with me, and please bring me in for an interview. Let's talk, and I'll show you a couple of things there that I just can't publish or let out into the public, because we do run the risk that even a password protected site is not necessarily hacked, but that the password gets around. And so I think you just have to be careful with things like that. Again, this is Office Hours Ask Me Anything, and my internet is looking really fast right now, so I think I've got a good chance at not falling apart again. You can ask questions in the LinkedIn chat or the YouTube, or you can ask them anonymously, especially if you want to ask something about a school you've gone to, or a program you took, or a job you're at now, and you don't want everybody seeing who you are. You can also ask your questions anonymously. And let's see. Yeah, so the questions keep coming up to me privately about does it matter what school I went to? I see people saying, I am trying to figure out if I should go to General Assembly or Career Foundry or Lambda or Nielsen Norman Group or insert whatever here. Doesn't matter who it is. To me, I'm just going to be looking at the quality of your work. I don't care which school you went to. I don't care if you went to a school. Somebody on LinkedIn tried to pick on me the other day, which is always nice, but somebody tried to pick on me the other day for having a degree in music. So clearly, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. If I have a degree in music and I can get to where I've been, and I could go higher, but I'm pretty happy with how my career has gone and what I'm able to do and what else I can still learn and become better at. If I can do this with a degree in music, then you can do this with an extensive UX education or no UX education. I'm seeing a lot of people coming out of trade schools and saying, I don't know why I spent all that money on that. I think I could have just taken some Udemy courses, taken some Interaction Design Foundation courses, watched some videos, listened to some podcasts, read some books. Sure, but there's still some missing pieces there, and I'll be talking about that in a few weeks. But the bottom line is, um, I don't care where you went to school or if you went to school. Leon says the best employee is not the bookworm, the person with common sense and intelligence. Most professors and curriculum are outdated education. Anyways, self education is best. Now, again, that's Leon's opinion. I don't know Leon at all, but he's posting in our room today. So, welcome, Leon. Hey, Jeff says he has a master's in music. We've got to get all the musicians together. Who is it? Joe Gaines. Again, this is all from memory. Joe Gaines from Denver was posting on my wall the other day and saying he was a full-time opera singer, and I'm a classically trained opera singer. So we've got to form a band. Jeff, where are you located? Oh, you're Duke Energy, so you're North Carolina. I think you do you work with Capricia? Is that her name? She was just lovely. I got to do some training with her. So yeah, school's not everything. You got the master's in music. I stopped at the bachelor's in music, but I knew I was not going to work in music, and that's fine. I think even where curriculum isn't outdated, and even where professors or instructors aren't terrible, there's still a lot going wrong with UX education now. People who hang out with me on LinkedIn know this. You're baritone. Okay, I assume that's baritone voice and not baritone saxophone. Perfect. So we could do like some Bach cantatas, and I'll do the boy part, and you do the man part. That stuff's creepy, isn't it? So anyway, let's see. Google me Leonardo Willis, 30 years on the music industry, representing most of who you listen today. I don't know. So Leon's on something new. I don't know what he's talking about. Jeff says yes. Capricia Towns, super person. Very happy to meet her, though virtually. It didn't meet her in person, but I don't forget much. So hopefully she's still enjoying her work. Um, so the education doesn't matter, but what you're able to do matters. Now, how do you get there? So right now, a lot of trade schools and boot camps aren't necessarily getting people there. They're very excited coming out of the boot camp, and then X months later, when they're having trouble getting that job, all of a sudden that world is crashing, the house of cards is falling, and what happened? And I've been looking at a lot of these portfolios. You guys know I've been doing free portfolio reviews. Everybody gets one. If you want a second one or more than two, you're going to have to pay me a little something for my time, but everyone gets one free portfolio review from me. It is private. I'm not going to broadcast it here. I've seen probably 50 or so portfolios in the last few weeks. And I would say time and time again, I would say 6 of those portfolios impressed me, which means a huge percentage did not. I felt that most understanding of how to do UX work, and many didn't seem to know why they were doing stuff. It was like, well, we did this, so now we're going to do an empathy map. Look, here's a picture of sticky notes on a wall. And I would love to get that person an interview and say, why did you make an empathy map? Why do you need it? So I think most people don't even know. But you know what? We'll save trade school bashing for another day. We've got lots of great questions coming in. Leon, I'm not totally understanding you. When you say you don't know someone, educate yourself on who they are so you stop delivering bad info. I can't tell what that means, so I'm just going to keep going. Wixel says mentorship is important. I've mentored folks coming out of trade schools, and they've been successful in landing roles. Yes, there are definitely some successful people coming out of these schools, and definitely the mentorship is key. I have seen many people come to me after their trade school and say, this is not working for me. I'm not getting the work reviews that I need. I'm guessing at UX tasks. I don't know how, when, or why to do these. And I'm worried I'll be in over my head at a job. And Sarah's posting, she says, I'm a bootcamp UX student at Flatiron, but self-taught in many other aspects of design. It's definitely a whirlwind education. If you have any trade school questions, I'll discuss it with you. I'm not sure if she meant that to me or to other people, but um, I have been interviewing a lot of people about their trade school experiences, mostly people who had negative experiences, because I'm trying to figure out what we need to fix. But if Sarah, if you want to talk to me about stuff, you certainly can. There was a question up here that I think I missed. Hold on, let me roll back. Hardeep says, hi, Debbie. How do you think the UX role change from cars we drive today to fully autonomous vehicles? What do you think is the biggest challenge or opportunity for UX in this transition? So it sounds like the question has to do with moving from cars we drive to fully autonomous vehicles and what's going to be the biggest challenge for UX in this transition. Those who follow my Ask Me Anythings in LinkedIn will know that I try to not guess too much about the future, partially because there's only so much we can know about the future, and partially because we're not getting the present right. We're not really getting car UX particularly right. So, what do I think is the future of other car UX? I don't know. Will we get that right? We're not getting car UX right now. I would love to see us doing a better job now before I worry about what's coming later. So what do I think is the UX role? Well, I don't know enough. I also don't know enough about self-driving cars. So I would have to say this is a question I probably shouldn't answer at all, because I really don't have anything to say there. However, Adrian has a variation here, which I do have something to say about. And Adrian asks, interesting topic. What about Tesla touchscreens? Now, I was just commenting about this on somebody's LinkedIn feed, yesterday or the day before? And someone had posted something about the bad UX of touchscreens and the concerns that many people are having about the amount of attention we take away from the road when we deal with the touchscreen. And I am in that camp. I am in the concerned camp. Now, I also remember the 1986 Buick Riviera. Who remembers the 1986 Buick Riviera? Not too many people. But Google it, because the 1986 Buick Riviera was, as far as I know, the first car to have a touch screen for everything. It was your climate control, it was your radio, it gave you fuel consumption, it had a calendar reminder. It was really weird, but it was your car. And my parents had one, and I wasn't driving yet. It was not my first car, but I remember driving it. And when you wanted to deal with something like the EQ of the radio or something like that, I had to look at it and I had to make sure my finger was touching in the right place. And I think we're taking our attention off of the road a little bit more than we realize. Now, the Buick Riviera had a touchscreen for only a few model years. I think by the 89 or 1990 model, the touchscreen was gone. Now, I don't know enough about that project to know why that went away, but my hypothesis would be dangerous driving, from the amount of attention people would have to take off to go, okay, which screen do I go to get to my music EQ? And then how do I bring the bass up? Okay, touch, slide. And this was true even in the Honda Fit I had a few years ago. It was touchscreen. I think the climate was regular knobs and stuff, but the radio and other stuff was touchscreen. And my thought was, I like the knobs and stuff. My car now is a 2008. So I sold the Honda Fit. I now have a 2008 car. I'm going back in time, but it's full of knobs and buttons. And what I like about that is it's stuff that I can feel for. But I also watched a great TV show from Canada's channel for the blind and the visually impaired. And this really cool guy, Kelly McDonald, who has his own show, he went to a car show and he sat as a passenger seat, and he's totally blind. And he felt around for what could he control in the car as a passenger. Could he put his own window down? Could he change his temperature? Could he adjust the radio? And he hated the Tesla because, as a blind person, he would be completely dependent on the driver. He would have to say to the driver, can you change the radio station? Can you warm it up in here? Can you do whatever? And he didn't like that feeling, and I could see why. So he didn't like it. Now, Adrian, I was in a Tesla in November. One of my best friends got herself a Tesla, and I was in it, and it was a touch screen. It was in like a landscape mode, and it was amazing how you there was a lot of stuff that you couldn't do, and there was a lot of stuff that you could do by voice. But I think you had to press a button first to say that you wanted to be listened to. Like, it wasn't just listening to you all the time where you say like, hello Tesla. You had to press a button to then speak to it. And again, that's to me a little bit flawed, because then I've got to take my eyes off the road to find where is this button and press the button. You can't feel for the button and keep your eyes on the road. Now, we all think we're great at multitasking when we're driving. We text, we snap a picture, we check a message. But I've got to tell you, nothing will give you a perspective on what it's like to take your eyes off the road until you are a motorcycle driver. So when I drive a car, I definitely have a little bit of a false sense of fantasticness. Like, yeah, I can glance quickly at a message and yeah, I can do that on a motorcycle, forget it. I basically, when I started driving a motorcycle, I had to train myself to stop looking at billboards because even glancing at a billboard like, oh, I wonder what that says, we do that in our car, and in fact they hope we do that in our cars. That's why the billboard's there. But I found, let me turn on a light here, but I found that when I, as a motorcycle driver, when I glanced at a billboard, I had my eyes off the road for what I thought was a fraction of a second, but honestly, it's more than you think. And that's bad for us. So, what I did was I started learning to use Google Maps by hearing. So, we're all used to driving, looking at the Google map, and and saying, okay, where do I turn now? And looking at the Googly map or the Tesla dashboard or our GPS, whatever it is. Well, I decided I'm on a motorcycle. I cannot look away from the road at all for any reason. It's too unsafe. So I wired a Bluetooth system into my helmet, Bluetoothed it to my phone, and then I have it reading me directions. And then that's where it got extra interesting because I switched my Google Maps to Italian so I could help myself learn Italian. But I found that Google Maps started to stop. So in English, it would say, make a right on Product Design Street. But in Italian, it says, make a right. I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is different. This is something else. Another thing I noticed, let's see, Hardeep says it'll be same Tesla sort of issue with screen, maybe even worse for driver distraction. Yeah, we really have to think about driver distraction. I mean, coolness is cool, but if coolness is causing accident, injury, death, or other problems, coolness is no longer cool. I will give up coolness for safety. So the people looking at their phones, I used to drive by them on my motorcycle, and it's technically a scooter, and I'm pretty high up. It's a quite kind of a tall thing. I could see into people's cars, and I could see when they were doing one of these, where they had the phone down like under the steering wheel or between their knees, and they were kind of doing things. I could see that. And as I drove by them, because I was in California, so I could split lanes and drive between cars when there's traffic, because they think, well, it's traffic. I don't have to, I could just mess with my phone a little bit. Wrong. I'm on a motorcycle. If you don't see me, I am splat. So here I am coming up between cars. I'm looking at cars. I see you on your phone. And as I drive past people, I would do this because I couldn't think of what other one-handed. I can't take two hands off a motorcycle. I can only take one. So I couldn't think of any better one-handed gesture to make to say, put your freaking phone down. I actually once saw a car accident happen literally right in front of me. I was at a red light in downtown San Francisco on the Embarcadero. For those of you who know San Francisco, I was winding around the Embarcadero towards Fisherman's Wharf because I was freelancing at Razorfish. And thank you, Hardeep. That'd be a takeaway sentence for me. Give up coolness for safety. Can we please give up coolness for safety? I'll give up coolness for a lot of things, but safety, yes. So I'm on the Embarcadero, and there's this BMW in front of me. There's another car in front of him, and then there's a red light. And what happened is the light turned green. I'm still on my brake. The BMW in front of me crashes right into the car in front of him. The car in front of him hadn't started moving yet. The BMW guy had been on his phone and texting and playing. His brain kind of saw the light turn green. He hit the gas. The guy in front of him hadn't hit the gas yet. So he just crashes into the guy, just like at 0 miles an hour, just green light, poop. So every time I see stuff like this, I'm extremely unimpressed. Wixel says Teslas further encourage dangerous driving with the assisted driving feature. I've even heard reports of people sleeping and allowing the car to drive. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of crazy stories out there. You're totally right. Now my friend said that was an option when she bought her car that would have cost extra, and she rejected it specifically because she did not ever want to go there with a Tesla. She wants to drive it. Um, but she says it does some braking for her at times, but she doesn't have the assisted driving feature at all. But I think it's a software thing that they could turn on if she ever decided she did want it. So I did not get to experience that in my time in my friend's Tesla. I think it was a Tesla 3, and I was also in a Tesla SUV in Norway in October, but not as much as I was in my friend's car in November. I was staying with her for like a week, so I was everywhere in that thing. I did not drive it. I was just, but the funny thing is, she, poor woman, every time we ended up at valet parking, people would be like, "Hi, ooh, Tesla," and she'd go, "Do you know how to drive it?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah," and then they'd be like, "Ma'am, it's not going." Like you have to. And to me, that was another kind of UX CX problem. I guess it's more CX than UX, in that if you don't know how to get in a car and just make it go, that really needs to be intuitive. If we've all learned to drive and we have driver's license, but like the Tesla needs some other way to go, uh, that's tough. That's tough for all the. I think that all the valet parking guys have had to specifically go and learn how to make a Tesla go and not go. Encouraging dangerous driving. I was dying the other day, not literally, but where was I? I was driving around America in November, or I think it was November, and I remember seeing a whole bunch of like lit up road signs, like the ones that tell you like "Be careful of snow" and whatever. And there were a whole bunch of road signs wherever I was. I don't even remember where I was. I was in like 10 cities, but it was something about like, put down your phone. Texting is distracting. Distracted driving is bad. And I'm thinking, I had to stop and read that sign. Get that sign out of here. I know from being on a motorcycle, I can't read that sign. That's too many. Think about how many seconds it would take you to read that sign. Put your phone down. Distracted driving is bad. That's 4 seconds. We all know what happens in 4 seconds. You've traveled hundreds of feet, many, many yards or meters, and anything could happen. When we were all posting about this yesterday or the day before on LinkedIn, Larry Marine dropped by and said, "Oh yeah, he's done some UX research some around drivers, and he found he remembered seeing one example where a guy starts, I think, picking a song to play off of his phone or off of his radio or something, and the guy almost drove up on the sidewalk and hit a kid on a bicycle. Guys, we cannot replace safety for coolness. And one example that I think of when I think about this is the Disney company. Now, we all know Disney. If you hang out at Disney's parks or hotels, and if you're a super fan like I am, then you will know that there are 4 keys to the Disney experience. I'm going to Google them so I don't get them in the wrong order, because I could get them in the wrong order. The 4 keys for Disney. Here they are. So this is Disney's 4 keys. Everything's modeled around this. This is kind of like some of their internal values, so you don't hear them talk about this. But if you dig into their world, you'll learn about this. I haven't worked there, but I've dug a little. Key 1, safety. Key 2, courtesy. Key 3, show. And key 4, efficiency. And they are in that order because that is the precedence that they take. So, as much as Disney wants to put on a good show for you and have fun workers in cool costumes playing parts, or the food you're eating, or the line you're waiting on, or the ride you're on, that's the show. Even how a building looks to you, that's the show. But that is key number 3. That means if it's safety versus show, forget the show. So, for example, when Disney evacuates people from a ride, they turn on all the lights. Now, of course, you would think, those of you who know something like Space Mountain, Space Mountain's a roller coaster in the dark. Very few people have ever seen it with the lights on. That would kind of destroy the magic. But when Space Mountain gets evacuated because of a safety or technical problem, all the lights come on. Everybody sees Space Mountain. Everybody gets off safely. So safety is first. Same is true for the last ride of Epcot's Universe of Energy, Ellen's Energy Adventure in Epcot. That closed some time ago to rebuild it as Guardians of the Galaxy. Evidently, the very last time the ride went through, there was a breakdown. Now, it's so strange. I don't know if this was real or fake, but supposedly the ride had a breakdown. They had to evacuate it, and they turned on all the lights. And of course, Universe of Energy is a dark ride where you are seeing, like, I don't even know, primeval history, dinosaurs. So you'd never see it in the light, and you'd never see how the magic's done. But the lights came on. And in fact, because it was the last time the ride was running and they were going to tear down the building, they let people walk around. Safety first. Safety first for Disney. It doesn't say coolness first. It says safety first. It says coolness third. Show is the coolness. That's third. Number 2 is courtesy. If a Disney member can be courteous, if everybody is safe and a Disney member can show you, cast member, which is what they call their workers, a cast member can show you courtesy, and that ruins some part of the show, they'll still show you that courtesy. The courtesy is more important than the coolness. Coolness is third on Disney's list, and fourth is efficiency. So it's more important to be safe, courteous, and put on a good show than it is to be efficient. As in, Disney will this is Disney Parks and Resorts. Disney Parks and Resorts will sacrifice efficiency, if it has to, if it will improve safety, courtesy, and show. So, for example, I heard that in their new Star Wars land, they had all these really long lines that people can wait on because they know people are going to wait hours for their hottest new rides. And normally, what happens when you wait hours on hottest new rides? You hate life because you want to go to a toilet. Now, typically, these ride lines don't have toilets. Why should anybody take up precious space that could be used for more lines with a toilet? But I heard that one of the new rides at Disney in the Star Wars area, they put in a toilet in the ride line. Now, obviously, you'll step out of the ride line, you'll go to the toilet, you'll step in, and someone will have to let you back into the ride line. I don't know if there's a cast member there or not helping with this flow of traffic, but that is because I'm going to call that one courtesy. Maybe it's not safety. Having to pee and not peeing may not be safety, but it's definitely courtesy, and that's more important than the show. Because even if the show is like, ooh, you're in Star Wars land, you're in this other land, and here's a toilet. We're not, we still have to give you a toilet. That's courtesy. This is Office Hours Ask Me Anything. I've been running about an hour, though this is part 2. If you guys have any questions, I do take questions. This is an open conversation. I take questions on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Hello to our YouTube viewer, often my boyfriend. Is it you on YouTube today? No. Okay. Hello to the real YouTube viewer. But you're listening. Thank you. I'm taking any questions about anything. You guys have asked some great questions. We've also dealt with some questions that came in anonymously earlier. So feel free to throw those at us. But can't replace safety for coolness. I think that's just going to be today's catchphrase. That's really the most important thing. Sorry you're watching the sunset on me because it's 5:30 at night where I am. So the sun's going down and you're watching it get dark and mysterious in here and a little bit cold. That's why I'm wearing a stupid hat. Today is Trade Show Swag Day. Hey, Julio, good to see you as usual. This is Speak at PayPal's Developer Conference, get the hat, and Speak at Agile Conference, get the hoodie. No, not wearing anything else from a conference today. I do have some socks from a conference. I'll wear that next time. Remember, I'm open to any other questions. If there aren't any more questions or comments, I'll start winding down. Please remember, we've got some cool stuff coming up. We do have the Concentric Conference coming up on January 24th. That's a full day, totally live on Zoom. It is currently free, so there's no reason for you to not come. So check out deltacx.com/concentric. Always head to deltacx.com for lots of stuff, my book, my training, consulting, lots of stuff that we could be doing together. Remember that you can also, I'm looking at all my printed out papers, ask me anything anonymously. So if you have an anonymous question, please put that here. Otherwise, ask questions in the public room. Remember that I do office hours. Ask me anything every Tuesday. Wixel, I see your question. I do this every Tuesday, unless I'm traveling, roughly 4:30 p.m. Italy time. So translate that for wherever you live. And also, we have some great podcasts coming up. Let me just tell you quickly about those. We've got a podcast on Friday, 5 p.m. Italy time, about design systems with the awesome Sarah Busick. And Monday, January 20th, at 1 p.m. Italy time. So possibly a little too early for America, but these are always archived on the YouTube channel. So follow Delta CX on YouTube. We are going to have the absolutely fantastic and always wonderful Seth Finkel, Dr. Seth Finkel, psychologist, talking about empathy. What is it? Is it the same thing as the buzzword we keep saying? How do we create it? Stuff like that. Thanks, Adrian. Thanks for joining. Wixel, let me answer your questions. Any advice for design professionals that want to become independent? Wixel, I did a podcast on that a few weeks ago. Great question. Check the archive on the YouTube channel. So just search Delta CX on YouTube. You'll find my channel. And I did a podcast. I think it was like episode 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't remember. It was fairly recent. And I did a whole like hour on for people who want to do more freelancing, contracting, run their own business. What's some of my advice and suggestions there? Of course, I'm not a lawyer or accountant. This is just my general business suggestions based on my own experience. And also, I walk through my proposals and I walk through my contracts. So you can learn about some things that are really important to make sure you include in your contracts. I think one thing almost everybody gets wrong is they don't have a contract, or they just download something online and thanks again for joining, Adrian. Thank you so much. They don't have a contract. They download something online. These things really rarely protect you, and they wouldn't stand up in court if you had to sue somebody. So please do watch the podcast on freelancing, contracting, and running your own business. I think that might help you there if that's something you're thinking about. I would love to work with you. You're awesome. And also, what else can I tell you? Yeah, I know, Adrian, LinkedIn is having tech problems. I couldn't reply to people's messages today. I couldn't send them messages. I couldn't post. I even had Hootsuite was trying to auto post something I'd scheduled, and I got a message that I couldn't post. So it's not even me or my connection or my login. Even Hootsuite couldn't auto post. So remember, lots of great podcasts coming up. All this stuff is always free. Just follow me here on LinkedIn, or and also subscribe on YouTube so you can see when stuff is archived. And everything's always archived there. And for those who don't need to see the video version, I also have the audio versions just of the podcasts, not of these sessions, going out to Spotify, Google Play, and iTunes. Just look for the Delta CX podcast. And one more quick plug, February 12th, I think it is, will be our next improv comedy podcast. Actually, I don't put it out with the podcasts. Our improv comedy session. So what did we do? Last time we totally improved an empathy map. I played the really bad facilitator who doesn't believe in CX or UX or customer satisfaction, and we improved an empathy map, not even knowing what our company makes or does. As it was that improvisational. Nothing is sacred. Everything's up for grabs. Make fun of everything. At one point, we improved that our customers were stupid old ladies who use Internet Explorer. And when I asked people to post a picture of this customer, someone posted me. So I'm telling you, nothing's sacred. We can make fun of ourselves. We can make fun of each other. We can make fun of the system, the process, the canvas, the everything. So there you go. So please join those. And again, the best way to join those is follow me on LinkedIn to be notified of when these things are happening. Subscribe on YouTube so that you know when they've already happened. And with that, I'll wind down for the day. Thank you for another great office hours Ask Me Anything. I'll see you guys every Tuesday. And otherwise, catch me around LinkedIn if you have any other questions. And now I have to find the stop streaming button, especially as I'm slowly ending up in darkness here. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week and catch you